from ESPN.
Good morning. It's nice to see all of you in New Orleans. Let me first of all say thanks for coming here. It's nice to see some spark coming back into this community. It's a great thing for all of us. Before we talk about our newest technological advances for television, we thought it might be wise to spend a few minutes giving all of you a bit of a top-line look at what we do at ESPN. So you have an overall picture of the breadth of what we do and how we kind of get with the program, which is the nature of my remarks here today. We operate 7 national cable networks. All but ESPN3 have standard and high-definition versions. Our biggest television networks reach right at 100 million households each, and ESPN Radio has 750 affiliate stations coast to coast. When brought together with our online, broadband, and wireless products, the reach of ESPN is substantial. The numbers I'm now going to share with you are correct. This slide does not include typographical errors. It does not. We survey cross-media consumption twice each year. In the fall of 2010, in the age group 12 to 64, 106.8 million persons watched, listened, read, or logged on to ESPN-branded media each week. And if you say, no way, that just can't be, understand we've measured this metric for quite some time, and this number, which is quite incredible, is pretty consistent. Even more remarkable is that the average person, and I do mean the average person, spends 6 hours and 35 minutes each week with the ESPN media. So when you walk down Canal Street last night, whatever time of day that was you walked down there, every person that you walked by spends over 6 hours with us each week. That could be television, that could be radio in the car, that could mean our magazine, that could mean you checking a story online while you're at work, which I know you would never do, but that's the average American. That's all of you. And while that number is really quite impressive, those who watched TV and used one other medium, like ESPN Radio or ESPN the magazine, they spend 14 hours and 41 minutes each week with us. It's somewhat incredible. Many of you are technically oriented, and I want to talk to you a bit about high definition. We love to go first when technology allows us to better serve sports fans. Back in 2002, when we said we were going to launch ESPN HD, many said we were being very foolish. We took a lot of heat by basically being first into HDTV in a big way. Nobody owned an HD set at that time or was really thinking about buying one. In just 8.5 years, nearly 70% of U.S. television households own at least one HD set, and nearly all of them can actually receive HD service from a telco, cable, or satellite provider. That receiving service number has jumped 24% in the last year. As of August, 51 million households actually subscribe to ESPN HD and ESPN2 HD. And from a viewing standpoint, the percentage of ESPN's total day audience coming from HD has increased by 52% in the last year and doubled in the last 2 years. And ESPN gets about twice as much HD viewing than cable networks do as a whole. Going HD for us meant we went digital, and that has opened the pathway for 2 of our newest video products, which we feel are going to lead us in the next phase of what we believe is the real digital transition. The first is branded by a simple 2-word phrase, watch ESPN. The simplicity doesn't at all explain the complexity on one hand and the opportunity on the other. Watch ESPN brings consumers 24/7 ESPN programming on computers, mobile phones, and tablets. Live streaming brings great content from ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPNU, and our popular seasonal networks, Goal Line for college football and Buzzer Beater for college basketball. All the studio shows that people love, like SportsCenter, PTI, Mike and Mike in the Morning, Sports Nation, are right there on your personal device. Alongside those come some of the greatest telecasts going, the Masters, U.S. Open and the Open Championship, college football, including the BCS, the tennis Grand Slams, and a lot of the tennis that you see up here in golf on the screen. The Watch ESPN app is available on the App Store or Android market, and we've received over 500,000 downloads. And not dissimilar to what's been going on in the mobile market overall, it's really working. With regard to usage, during the first 3 weeks of September alone, Watch ESPN logged almost 266 million minutes consumed. As of October the 1st, content's been downloaded 4 million times. We often say that we create content for sports fans to consume on what we call the best available screen. But the growth in mobile content consumption is noteworthy. We're an increasingly mobile society, and we're finding that sports fans want to kind of what we call snack while they're traveling to and from work, running errands, or whatever. And the beauty of Watch ESPN is that fans who receive the linear networks can obtain the product as part of their TV subscription. They can do that now with Verizon Fios, as you see here. That means they pay only once. It's a dream come true for sports fans and a sea change for the television industry. We think Watch ESPN reinforces the value of the basic video subscription, and our research has shown that increased online and mobile consumption coincides with increased television ratings. It doesn't take away. We also believe media is not an either-or discussion. One media pie does not have to shrink for another to grow. If we felt that, there would have been only one ESPN service 32 years ago. Now, there are those who question that there was enough to have at that time one 24/7 sports network. Well, I guess those folks may understand now the interest in sports is a little higher than that. The definition of media is going to evolve. And with that evolution, which some may say is a revolution coming, consumers will continue to look to brands they trust for quality and for products that deliver the greatest functionality. So as we scratch our fans' itch for being able to take their ESPN with them wherever they go, we also continue to focus on television viewing inside our homes. For all the new stuff aside, that's our bread and butter. The question for your living room today is, will history repeat itself? Will repeat itself for 3D TV. 3D will be very important. I don't just mean to ESPN. It'll be important to our distributors because it'll be important to consumers. The slate of movies, I should say, growing in 3D is growing every day. I find it interesting to see that we have a growing number of movies that advertise on our air where the end panel says, also available in 2D, which gets my attention. Those movies will move along the food chain to 3D and to Blu-ray, and Blu-ray 3D players in price are dropping through the floor. Our parent company, the Walt Disney Company, recently re-released, The Lion King in 3D very successfully, and to that end now has plans over the next 2 years to do the same with Beauty and the Beast, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., and The Little Mermaid. And at the same time, the numbers of homes with 3D TV will increase much faster than we saw with high definition. We're already seeing that. The price differential from an SD set to an HD set 10 years ago was an awful lot of money. You may recall that. The price differential for HD to 3D is modest, just a couple of $100 and dropping. PricewaterhouseCoopers says that 29% of U.S. TV households will have 3D-ready sets by 2015. Display Search projects that by 2014, 3D screens will account for 50% of the world's television revenue from TV devices. Instat predicts that more than 100 channels will exist worldwide for 3D in 2015. 3D will be important in home environments. I think it would be instructive to share with you some words that James Cameron, the famed Hollywood director of Avatar in 3D and Titanic soon to be in 3D, said last month at the 3D Entertainment Summit in Los Angeles as to the relationship between movie content and the television industry. Jim said, a lot of the ills that are currently plaguing 3D movies are going to get resolved when broadcast gets resolved. We were in a holding pattern for about 25 years. We were slowly progressing from black and white to color, and at first it was just the big movies, and then it was the movies that could afford it, and then in the early 60s it was about 50-50. Then color came along, and in 1 year every movie was in color because they had to be, because they had no library value if they weren't in color. Once broadcast moves aggressively to 3D, every movie will be in 3D. It's that simple. It's going to be the same thing. Well, it's been a while since we went from black and white to color. Only time will tell if Mr. Cameron's correct, but I can tell you the signs are all the same. In Any Day Today, I deal with the same issues and the same topics and many of the same people that I dealt with on HD 10 years ago. We announced ESPN 3D at the 2010 Consumer Electronics Show, and by 2:30 in the afternoon that day, the phrase ESPN 3D had jumped to 5th in the world in Google search. We didn't see that strong interest coming. It kind of surprised us. Tomorrow night, we will produce our 164th live telecast, a college football game between the University of Virginia and the University of Miami. As to what we have done beyond football, for those of you who love football, we've carried the World Cup, we've carried the World Football Challenge, excuse me, basketball, boxing, the summer and winter games, X Games, extreme sports, the Masters Golf Tournament, and tennis from Wimbledon. We might just be producing more 3D than anybody on the planet. Maybe our friends in Sky, or at Sky in the UK, are right up there with us. We do this because we love to lead. We love to go first because utilizing technology to serve sports fans is at the core of what we do. It's what we did with HD, and many said HD, as you know, wouldn't make an impact. We all know now what has happened. The effort that goes into this is considerable. The results are remarkable. I once told our president, a gentleman named George Bodenheimer, that after putting together the plan to create all of our HD networks, I really didn't think that sports TV could get any better. This spring, I told him I'd been wrong about that. As so often happens, new technology seeks out sports, and with 3D, it's happened again. We are not equipped here today to show 3D, and that's unfortunate. Because they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I can't really imagine what 3D is worth, because it's really pretty special stuff. It's the stuff that makes people buy 3D TVs and 3D Blu-ray players and order special services from our distribution partners like Verizon, AT&T, Time Warner Cable, and DirecTV. It's the stuff that sports fans absolutely love. So let's turn our focus to sports fans, because we, pure and simple, live to serve them. It's what we do. In recent weeks, we have put together some viewing areas for fans to see ESPN 3D. It's well worth sharing with you what they have been saying to us. So from a video standpoint, we may be going backwards a bit, but here come the thoughts of some sports fans talking about sports in 3D, but displayed for you today in boring old 2D HD, no glasses required.
I thought it was really neat. I have actually never watched sports in 3D before, just movies in the movie theater.
Comparing it to like the TV next to it, that's not 3D, it's way better.
Golf was phenomenal. Baseball was interesting, and then some of the, the special, the snowboarding and things like that, they stuck out.
I just thought it was amazing. It's nothing like what we normally see.
But this is really, really impressive.
I really liked how you could tell the depth in there from, where the players are on the field.
Watching Augusta in 3D was amazing.
Especially just watching the X Games right here. I mean, this is really, really neat. It's coming at you.
I like the detail when the boxer got hit and you saw the tooth fly out.
It really just puts you, right in there and right next to the action.
Some of the football stuff was really fantastic. Guy came right through the screens.
Comparing this with the regular television, I mean, you can really tell a difference, and it makes it a lot more entertaining.
Snowboarding stuff was off the hook.
I felt like I was a lot more involved and a lot closer to the actual game. So as a big fan of football, I really liked it.
It was pretty cool. It was a cool experience. It was definitely different, enjoyed it.
If sports was on 3D, I would definitely buy a 3D TV set because I watch more sports than I watch other shows.
But I'm with my roommate and I told him we definitely need to check because we're watching the wrong TV.
My next TV purchase would definitely be 3D.
We just both watch ESPN 3D and we think it's awesome.
If you missed it, I love it when the girl says, I like it when the boxer's tooth flew out of his mouth. It's kind of interesting when you watch sports and it's a lady saying that. This is yet another case of seeing and believing. Seeing is believing, even more so than when 2D HD launched nearly a decade ago. I gave a speech in California last month to a group of 3D folks, and I changed the inflection and tone of what I said with the speech title today. when I said basically, come on, get with the program. Inflection change was on purpose because there's been some bumps in the road as 3D has been stumbling its way along the last couple of years. I think it's fair to say that we're into some uncharted territory, and this representation of what confronts us really isn't far off. Confused, perplexed, unsure, disoriented, you hear it all. In these early days, 3D has been the best thing in television on Tuesday and terrible on Wednesday. I recently went into a retail store in Connecticut where I live. 88 high-definition televisions on display. Over 20 were 3D. That's a pretty good batting average for today. However, it was a virtual secret which ones were 3D. However, 5 set manufacturers had placed standalone demonstrations in the store. That was a good sign until I discovered that only one of them worked. As a consumer, the reaction is often not to react. The reaction is to put that credit card back in your wallet. The reaction is that something must be wrong here. But we'll get through that because there's a lot right here. 3D technology engages and thrills viewers. It gives perspectives we have never experienced before. It takes us as consumers of content right up to the next level. However, it's fair to say that 3D TV has been progressing right along Gartner's hype cycle, with visibility on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal. You can see the technology trigger on the lower left, which is probably in late 2009, maybe start of 2010. We've already vaulted to the peak of inflated expectations. We think we're just now starting to climb out of the trough of disillusionment. We believe signs of of enlightenment are ahead as we head toward the plateau of productivity. We shall see. But I'd also say we're starting to see clues. Over time, we saw clues with HD. We saw HD paint and HD car wax for the guys. We saw HD cosmetics for the ladies, and HD contact lens, which I guess were unisex. You should all watch for clues. Today, I'm pleased to tell you that I started this day with my 3D toothpaste and my 3D deodorant, and I hope you did as well. The clues are starting to build all around us. We are doing what we can to push this new medium forward. With the audience we reach, we use our assets to market new opportunities. To that end, I want to show you a short clip that came from a recent college football game to show you how we use 2D HD to promote ESPN 3D and lead consumers to our distributors to grow their businesses.
This telecast is available in 3D on ESPN 3D, brought to you by Sony. Fans here at the Bud Light viewing party in Stillwater experiencing the latest in technology firsthand. Carter Blackburn, Brock Heward, Ray Bentley on the call in 3D. Stylish glasses. It is a remarkable experience to see football, really all sports in 3D. On the cutting edge in technology, ESPN 3D is going to televise 26 college football games this year, 11 times on Thursday night, 6 bowl games including the BCS Championship. You can get ESPN 3D. It's available to subscribers of Comcast, DirecTV, Time Warner, and Verizon Fios. You can go to ESPN.com/3D to find out more.
We have over 60 million available to households, which means the feed is going into the wire in your house if you choose to access it. That number is certainly running ahead of our HD tracking from the early years. The time is right for all of us to go on the offense with 3D. As noted before, the price differential from HD to 3D is modest. And also consider this. HD took an entirely different set-top box at the time. Generally speaking, that's not the case today. The current HD box usually handles 3D without doing a thing. Comparatively, this is much easier and much less expensive. So the opportunity, it's right in front of all of us. I sometimes wonder if we hit the on-ramp a year earlier than with HD. But at the end of the day, the next generation of television is within our grasp. From top to bottom, from Jim Cameron to Joe Fan, it's right here with both Watch ESPN and ESPN 3D, and it's here right now. So on behalf of my colleagues back in Bristol at ESPN, we thank you for the opportunity to say hello. We urge you to get up with the program and have Watch ESPN and ESPN 3D on your radar as you plan ahead, and consider getting into these new mediums so that you might be ahead of the curve as to the real digital transition and get there with programming from ESPN 3D. Thank you very much. ahead. Go. No. Good job.
Thanks, Bryan. We're talking backstage, and